Hi, I'm Jason Gorman, and we're here to look at a couple microphones from Mackie. Now, Mackie is a very well-established audio company. I've had a Mackie mixer for decades now. They make a bunch of pro audio stuff, and what's really fantastic is that they're sort of getting into this sort of prosumer gear for people like myself that are busy shooting videos or doing all kinds of vlogging or whatever we want to call it. We have two unique microphone solutions that will work pretty well with the camera. I'm actually shooting with one of them now, and we're going to go sort of back and forth to see it. But the first one, let's look at the big boy. This is it, the EM-93MS. It's a full shotgun mic. It has, what does it have? It has a cold shoe shock mount, so it has a shock mount. DSLR and smartphone cable. So it comes with two USB-C cables to either mini jack, both mini jack, excuse me, to either two-pole mini jack or three-pole mini jack, depending if you're plugging it into your phone with an adapter or if you're plugging it in directly to the camera, as I have done here. USB-C charging cable. It actually charges itself. It actually has battery in it. It was fantastic to allow you to do certain things. It's obviously makes it essentially a powered mic. You can do all kinds of stuff in terms of changing the roll-off, 150 hertz or 75 hertz, I believe it is. And there's actually a headphone jack right out of the back, which is fantastic because on my particular camera, there actually is no headphone jack. So right at the barrel of the camera, there's a headphone jack where you can insert your own and do your own monitoring, and the dial itself actually allows you to do volume monitoring. And it has a furry foam windscreens, so it's got my quote-unquote dead cat on top of it, and it's got a premium carrying case. So let's look at this carrying case as we open it up. And again, documentation, the obvious stuff that it should come with. But yeah, the case itself, nice dense case. Has the model number on top of it, and inside you can see USB-C charging cable. Here's what the other cable looks like that's already plugged in. This is the one for smartphone. It has green and it has a little tag on here to actually show you what it's doing. But yeah, it's a 3-pole, so this is what you would plug into a smartphone adapter, and that is the USB-C which you would plug in the camera, and this is the charger for the microphone itself. And here's a normal sort of windsock that would go over it, and then I have the big furry thing because we are outdoors, which I will show you in a moment. Now, that's the sort of big pro one. Then we have this, which is actually probably more than sufficient for most people. It is the EM-93M ultra compact on-camera microphone. This includes the mic, the shock mount with cold shoe attachment. So they're both basically taking where your flash attachment normally is. 8th cable for DSLRs, 1/8 inch cable, so that's a 3.5 millimeter. And then the furry foam windscreens, same kind of thing. And if you look at this, as you can see, tiny little windscreen. And the mic itself will sort of go back and forth, so I'll show you with another angle about what it actually looks like, but I wanted to actually hear what it is. So yeah, here we are outdoors, a sort of torture test for any of this stuff. I got birds going on, I got people making a bunch of noise over there, but here I am sort of on this little position speaking into the microphone. I'm a good 3 feet away. I can even go a bit further back, and hypothetically the audio should be pretty darn clear in the center. As I go around, as I go over here, the audio will actually get a little bit more distant. It is that directional. That's what you want from a shotgun mic, so that where you're aiming is where the audio is going. And that's the huge advantage. If I'm shooting something like this, yes, I can go with a lav mic, which is what I normally do, but in this, it's a really nice thing just to have it on top of the camera and actually be shooting that way. So just to show you on what the other mics look like, here's the little baby guy. Here's the EM-93M, and you can see, so this is the quote-unquote wind muffler or cat, whatever we will look at. And this is it. It's a tiny little shotgun mic. It hits, and this is it, and it just literally screws on top of the camera. And then out the back, on this is where you actually put the attachment, the 3.5 millimeter to 3.5 millimeter adapter, or it'll be 3-pole 3.5 to 3-pole 3.5. So we're going to go back and forth on this, but first let me show you what this the big guy looks like on top of my camera. So on top of my camera, you can see how I have it mounted here as the giant windsock. And then you actually have this. You can see that it's the EM-98MS, and it's a really nice shock mount doing its thing. On top are the series of buttons where you can control different elements, power on and off, and you can actually do the high pass filter settings. That is right there. Out of the side of it, you have the USB-C cable coming out, which just goes directly into my camera, and you can see it's just on the regular hot shoe mount. Now, one thing I will note is when I was plugging this in, there's an actual inner screw that was put in there, and it made it a little bit tight to actually get on. Once I figured that out, it actually went on fine. If I take this out, you can see that's the construction of the microphone itself. Very robust. And if I come around here, you're going to be able to hear the difference between me using my camera mic and me using the shotgun mic. This is without the sort of big roughy thing. This is with it on, and so you should be able to hear some sort of difference between the two of them as they go. Let's put on the other mic and see how this one sounds. So you can see immediately that the smaller mic is probably more beneficial for people who have a smaller camera rig such as this. Instead of having a headphone out on the back, we actually have this cable, which is what goes from the microphone to your smartphone or the camera. That's simply plugged in here. And if I go in front now, you can see that that's how it looks from this angle. And if I speak directly in the camera here, this is sort of doing the trick. The difference in the audio between what we had before with the big guy and with the little guy probably is notable. Let us know in the comments which one you actually prefer in this type of setting. It'd be interesting to see which one you like, the portability of the smaller one or the sort of promos of the other one. And just so that we see this again, this is what the sort of bigger beast looks like, the EM-98MS. It's not insubstantial, as it were, but when it's relatively light, and when it's on your camera, you really don't notice very much effort whatsoever to actually have it. Even on a relatively small body like my camera, this certainly seems to be doing the trick. Okay, and now we're back to the bigger mic. Here I am with a little mic in my hand. Again, I'm giving a bit of a torture test. Outdoors is about as bad as it's ever going to get. We'll do a couple tests indoors, and then we'll come back after that. Okay, now we're indoors, which is obviously a very different environment for this. This is me looking at the 98MS audio. Again, if I go off axis, let's just try this. And this and this, I'm talking, but straight on axis should be the best audio quality. But again, probably very different noise than what we're getting outdoors. And this is us listening to the 93M, the smaller mic setup. Again, I'm directly on axis. If I go slightly off axis, you should be able to hear, but obviously normally it's exactly where you're actually aiming it at. I will say, just before we go back to the main thing, this is what I was talking about on the sort of larger thing. You can see there's a little screw in the middle there. I found that I had to tighten it because when I had on the bracket, it wasn't actually getting in my hot shoe, and I realized that it just needed to be a little bit tighter. A very minor inconvenience, but now that's there, this one's going on and off, and you can see it actually has power buttons on there. If I turn this off, that'll actually do what we want it to do. So yeah, that's our look at these two products from Mackie, the EM-98MS and the EM-93M. I think both of them provide excellent value. They definitely feel like you're upping your game. Mackie is a very well established brand. I'm really pleased to see them getting into this sort of form factor of building just good quality products at not an exorbitant price that actually allow people like myself to sort of step up their audio game just a little bit. Thanks so much for watching. Again, let us know in the comments what you think between the difference between the two, which you think would be to your benefit, and we'll see you next video. All the best. Take care.